sentence. I should get, I suppose, an identity. I should get a driving licence, a passport, a national insurance number, help to open a bank account, because even as a fresh person with all of these things, you won't get a bank account because you've got no history, no previousness.
On the 24th of February 1997, Darren Nicholls was granted bail on condition that he reside at the safe house with his family and adhere to certain guidelines. There was a strict curfew, which meant he was only able to leave his house between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. He was never allowed to travel more than 25 miles from his front door. He was not allowed to seek any form of employment. Any breach would mean an immediate return to prison. At first, his wife Sandra enjoyed having her husband back, but the dream quickly turned into a nightmare. The murder trial was set to begin at the Old Bailey on the 1st of September, and as the weeks went by, Sandra watched her husband become more and more frustrated, more and more stressed, and increasingly bitter and angry about his situation and what the future held for him. As the trial loomed even nearer, Darren Nicholls became more and more nervous about what might happen. In particular, in prospect of Mick and Jack going free played on his mind. He found it impossible to talk about it with his wife, who was becoming increasingly bitter about the enforced separation from her family. His police handlers had no time for him as he was making statements. Desperate for an outlet, Nicholls began to make a video diary of his thoughts and feelings. He began filming himself at home. Such was his relief at being able to offload his anxieties. He even smuggled the camera into his prison cell to help him cope with the stresses and strains in the final days before the trial. The following transcripts reveal much about the reality of life on the witness protection program. Thursday, the 22nd of May, 1997, 13 weeks before the trial. I'm getting really paranoid. I just can't help it. Some days are better than others. Sometimes I have a drink and it makes me more relaxed. Other times I have a drink, it just brings my paranoia out even more. I lay in bed, I just can't sleep because all I can hear is these people in the street outside walking their dogs and stuff, and I'm all convinced that it's them coming for me. Since I've been here in the safe house, I've had constant sleepless nights. Sometimes there's a noise, just a small noise, and it sets me off. If a cat meows outside, I'm up in an instant, looking out the window, wide awake, while I'm creeping downstairs to check out the house. I've even started sleeping with a knife under my pillow. Sometimes when I'm walking down the road, I see people looking at me, and I'm convinced that they recognise me. I'm always on edge. I'm drinking a lot. I suppose everyone expects you to be an alcoholic by now, and I don't think I'm going to disappoint them. It's causing a lot of problems because I'm very selfish, but I don't know I'm doing it. After a little while, I just sit there, go into my own little world of a red striped lager. But I need it. I'm not allowed sleeping tablets in case the defence end up using it against me in court. They might say that my testimony isn't valid because I'm under the influence of drugs. I don't feel like I'm a person anymore. I feel like a piece of evidence. Exhibit number 1. I feel like I've been sealed up and I'm not allowed to get contaminated. It's weird. But the only time I feel I can really sleep is when my wife is awake. I suppose it's because then I can feel like she's watching over me, protecting me. But if she's asleep, I can't sleep. So it's back to drinking again. If I get pissed enough, I can always get to sleep. Wednesday, the 11th of June. Right now, I wouldn't recommend that anyone accepts witness protection. The police are just completely out of order. I've given them all the information they asked for, but they still refuse to say exactly what they're going to do for me. They say wait and see, wait and see. That's no good for me. I'm really worried about things. I'm not allowed to work at the moment. It's just too much of a risk. So the police come around to visit me once a week and give me £48 because that's how much I'd get if I was on the dole. It doesn't go very far. But it's really stupid because the police gave Sandra a cover story which doesn't make any sense. Apparently, I'm this really successful builder who spends loads of time working on big money contracts abroad. That's fine while I was away, but now I'm back and haven't got a pot to piss in. It must be really obvious that we live in a lie. If I could go back in time to when I was arrested, I'd never go down this route again. I wouldn't even consider it. I'd much rather be locked away with them and risk getting killed. In fact, I'd probably end up killing myself. Must have thought about it 100 times in the last year. The way they've treated me, I'd just never do it again. I don't think anyone would. The way I see it, if you get put away for 8 years, you do 4. But when you come out, you can hold your head up high. You don't have to spend your life looking over your shoulder like I'm going to have to. I did it the first time, did the crime, and then did the time, and it was okay. I came out, and I was able to start my life again. But this time, it just never ends. It just goes on, and I always regret doing it. I'm looking forward to playing these tapes back when it's all over, because I'm hoping I'm going to be wrong. I hope the police keep their promises and help me start my life over, but I don't feel very confident. When I was in the Supergrass unit, the one thing you hear from people there is, don't trust the police, don't trust the police. I'm convinced that I'm going to be shot on from a great height. Tuesday, the 17th of June. I asked the police for some money to put extra locks on the doors and windows. They said they couldn't afford it. I was trying to tell them how worried about things I was, but they just didn't seem to understand. I started telling them that I was going to make my own arrangements. I told them that when I got my new identity, I was going to apply for a shotgun license, so that I'd have some way of taking care of myself. They just looked at me. I tried to explain that the people who were going to come after me were hardly going to turn up with lumps of wood or knives. They were going to turn up armed to the teeth. If I didn't get a shotgun, then at least I wanted them to get me a bulletproof jacket. So then if it did come on top, at least I could throw it on and perhaps survive it. They said they couldn't afford it. They gave me a car for emergencies, but then they took it off me. They said I was abusing it, that I was doing too many miles, and I wasn't keeping it clean. Now the car's gone, and one of my bail conditions is that I should have a vehicle as a means of getaway. It's really fucking stupid. So now if anyone comes to shoot me, I have to hope that the bus is going by. Saturday, the 28th of June. The police said I'd arrange a holiday so that my family could come and see me. I don't believe them. All the things they've told me so far have turned out to be lies. They really don't want to do anything for you because they're terrified that when you go to court, it will end up being used against them. That's all very well. I mean, I understand it. I really do. But it's no good to me right now, is it? It's not very promising at all. If I do ever get a holiday, it's not going to be much fun anyway. Some caravan in the middle of nowhere with 20 armed guards and me mum. They kept saying I have to wait until after the trial, and that's when they'll start helping me out. But they won't tell me what to expect. The contract I have with the police says they have to put me back in the position I was before I became a witness. I'm never sure whether that means getting me a job and somewhere to live, or putting me in a town that needs a good drug dealer. I might get a nice little sweeping job down at Ford's, or a job digging holes for the council, and then they'll say to me, go on, enjoy your new life. I've seen all the things the papers are writing about me. They make it seem like I've got a private jet and £1 million in the bank. Even if the police had that kind of cash to throw away, I don't think I'd get it. At the end of the day, police and criminals are pretty much the same really, so even the cops hate the grass. I don't think they like me at all. Sometimes, in my heart, I wish I'd never become a witness. When I first got arrested, I'd met with my solicitor, and he said that if I hadn't said anything, he probably could have got me off. After all, I only bought the drugs because Jim wanted me to keep in with Mick and Jack. I was a registered police informant. If only I'd kept my big mouth shut, I'd still be living in Braintree, and none of this would be happening. Friday, the 11th of July. Sandra's gone out for the night, so I'm here on my own looking after the kids. I'll probably have to tell my children the whole story one day. I'm not looking forward to that. They want to get married or something one day, and the whole name change thing can cause big problems. I don't know how they feel about their dad when I tell them. I just have to wait and see. To an extent, they know already. My oldest boy is too young to know what's going on, but he knows it's not right. He asks me lots of awkward questions. He wouldn't know what a supergrass was, but I'm always telling him off for telling tales on people. And if I explain what I've done, that's exactly what I think I've been doing. My kids think that the reason we had to move out of our old house in the middle of the night was because of some old World War II bomb that had been discovered and was about to go off in our street. It It was the only excuse the police could come up with straight away. The first night, they had to put them in a police training school. My eldest isn't stupid. He can read. He kept asking Sandra, "Why are we in a police station, Mummy?" The first time I went to prison, the kids were told that Daddy was being sent away because he'd been naughty and made the Queen angry. They were really upset by the whole thing. They caught their mum crying every night. Ever since then, my oldest has been really clingy. When I've had to go into custody just for a few days at a time to make statements or something, he's acted in a really odd way. I've gone to say goodbye, and he said to me, "You are coming back, aren't you?" As if he just knows that something's not quite right. It really gets to you. When I was away, I got all these letters and pictures and things saying, "Daddy, we love you, and we think you're the best daddy in the world." And I'm there thinking, no, I'm not. I'm full of shit. I've got all these kids telling me I'm wonderful, and I just don't deserve it. Monday, the 4th of August. Let's talk about the Old Bailey. They took me there last week for a look around, and I can tell you, it's not a very nice place. The trial is going to be held in court number 2, which is very, very overpowering to say the least. When I was at the old style committal, I was at least 35 feet from the dock, where Worms and Steel were. This time, I'm probably 10 foot at the most. They're going to be there in my face, and there's nowhere to hide from them. It's made me pretty scared, because it's such a small room for the number of people that are going to be in there. They made me walk the route that I have to take to court every morning. I was expecting at least some sort of dedicated facility for special witnesses, but I was wrong. I go into the Bailey through the back doors, and then me and my armed escort walked through the cells. Then we went along the corridor, up a few flights of stairs, and finally ended up in a toilet outside the court. "What's this?" I said. "That's where we'll be keeping you," said one of the coppers. And that was it. That's where I'm going to be every morning. It's where I eat my lunch, and it's where I'll be sent to every time there's a bit of legal argument. A fucking toilet. Mind you, with the amount of nerves I'm likely to have, it's probably the best place for me to be. Thursday, the 14th of August. I don't think me and Sandra are going to make it. She keeps saying she wants to go back to Essex, to go back to living a normal life. Sometimes, I think it just might be the best thing for her. But when I start to think about my future without her, all I see is problems. Basically, we're living a lie at the moment, and we have to spend our lives remembering all the lies we've been telling so we don't get caught out. It would be so nice. So it's just a relief to be able to tell someone. It would be brilliant if there was someone out there who could understand why I am the way that I am. I feel that I must come across really weird to quite a few people, but I don't know whether I'll ever feel comfortable enough to tell any of my new friends the truth. The paranoia is always there. What happens if I run into someone I knew in the old days and I'm with my kids? What do I do? Not let the children speak? It's an impossible situation. My biggest worry is what might happen if Sandra and I don't get back together. What happens if I start seeing someone and I fall in love? Do I sit her down and say, "By the way, I'm a supergrass and there's $250,000 on my head, but we'll be okay as long as we don't tell anyone"? What happens if you don't tell her? What if you do tell a girl, then you split up? If she tells an ex-boyfriend and he tells someone, but if you don't tell her, then how would you feel if they burst in for me and she's there? Tuesday, the 19th of August. I don't want to do it. It's only a week or so away, but I really don't want to go through with it. I've been sitting here trying to work out what they might ask me. I don't know if they're going to try and trick me. That's what really does my head in. I guess I'm trying to work out all the answers in advance, but my barrister says one thing you shouldn't do is try to work out what they'll ask you, because they'll always come up with something different, then you'll be stuck. I'm trying not to do it, but I can't help it. It's not just a case of me going there and telling the truth. The whole case rests on me. Without me, there is no case. So they're going to try and do absolutely everything they can to destroy me, because it's their only chance of getting off. Are they going to call me a liar? They're going to try and rip my character apart? Are they going to try and let me speak at all? I'll just have to wait and see. I'm not looking forward to going back into custody. I'll be back in the police station again, but this time no one will be allowed to see me. No visits at all. They are scared that if anyone sees me when the trial is on, the defence will say I'm being coached or I'm being given ideas. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time on my own. I'm not looking forward to it at all. All you can do is watch TV. I'm fully up to date with Neighbours, EastEnders, Coronation Street, the lot. But that doesn't make up for much. And it's not like I'm in some peaceful place where I can think, because it's a police station. It's full of drunks who are up for a fight, especially on Fridays and Saturday nights. They scream and kick the doors all night long. It's horrible. I'm not looking forward to it one little bit. I'm not the same person I was when this all started. I used to laugh at people who cried at soppy films, but now, at everything, even when I hear a song that's slightly sad, I tend to cry. I don't know why. I have thought about my dad a lot. That keeps going through my mind. I lay there, and as if he's there, but he's not. Difficult. They want me to see a psychiatrist to see if I'm cracking up. When they first said it, I felt good, because I thought they was actually worried about me. But now I realise they were just worried that I might not be able to give evidence in the case. Friday, the 29th of August, 3 days before the trial. Sandra isn't speaking to me anymore. Last night I told her I was popping out for a quick drink. I didn't get back till 3 AM, and when I did, I was completely out of my tree. My neighbours are really on her side. They're all having a go at me today, saying, "How could you go out drinking every night when you're about to go off to Germany for 2 months?" That's the story everyone's been given. That I'm off abroad to work on some kind of building contract. They're all saying I should be spending more time with my wife. They have no idea just how much stress I'm under. If Sandra doesn't start talking to me again soon, I'm just going to go out back down the pub. As far as I'm concerned, any excuse to get pissed is a good one. Saturday, 30th of August. Back in custody. First night back in the cells. Not very good. I can't sleep. I'm very nervous. I'm bloody nervous. I've only been back 16 hours, but I've had my first big row with the wife already. We actually fell out over a difference of things that she said to one of our neighbours, something that I said to one of our neighbours. We forgot to confer. You tell somebody lies in this game, that it just happens automatically. You don't think. You don't ask. I just have to take it in my stride. People say don't worry, but I can't help it. This is the beginning of my whole life, and it's a life of worrying about everything, having to be extra careful who I make friends with. I even have to make sure my kids don't slip up. At the end of the day, I can handle going to court and giving evidence. What I can't handle is the rest of my life. The rest of my life is going to be horrible, no matter which way the verdict goes. I spoke to my mum a little while ago. That wasn't very good either. She just told me to tell the truth. Sunday, the 31st of August. I feel like shit. It's my second night back in custody, and I've just had the biggest scare of my life. Sandra was really depressed when I left, and scared about being on her own. When I phoned her back last night, she was feeling pretty miserable because of the row, but after a while, things seemed to be pretty much okay. But when I phoned her tonight, there was no answer. So I paged her. No answer. So I phoned her mobile. It was turned off. I started to panic. I didn't know what to do. So I told the police, and they started to panic. They sent a car around to the house, and she wasn't there either. And neither were the kids. So they started searching for her and put an alert out on her car. And the whole time, I was just sitting there, feeling absolutely useless. I really wanted to do something to help, but I was locked up. I really started to believe they'd got to her. They knew the trial was about to start, and they'd snatched her away. I was ready to retract every statement I'd ever made. There was no way I was going to get in the witness box. I really believed my family had been abducted and killed. The police were getting really nervous, checking on my other relatives and with the families of the accused to make sure they knew where they were. Then at about 3 AM, the police said they'd found her. It had all got too much for her, and she'd just gone off on some bender and left the kids with a friend. I know I'll keep going on about how tough things are for me, but I know it's fucking hard for Sandra as well. All this shit somehow affects the innocent more than the guilty. I was so relieved that she was safe. I wanted to tell her that I loved her and cared for her, but I just ended up shouting at her down the phone, calling her all the names under the sun. I was really having a go at her. I left her even more upset. Then I just sat on my bed and cried. Tuesday, the 2nd of September. Everyone back in Braintree has got it in for me. If anyone gets arrested for anything, Even if they get stopped by the police for speeding, the story is that I must have gassed them up. I'm getting the blame for absolutely every problem that everyone's ever had. I'm the ultimate scapegoat. Okay, so I'm an informer. I've informed on people, but I'm trying to make amends. I feel like more of a criminal now than ever before. I've been condemned to a life of misery. I want to sleep, but I can't. It's getting too close to comfort now. Someone told me today they want to use me in another trial next September. The one where Russell Tate and that lot are up for smuggling the drugs they found in Mick's mum's garage. I'm really fucked off about it. I was hoping that after the trial was over, that would be it. They wouldn't have any more hold over me, and I'd be able to get sentenced and then get on with my life. But now, they say I have to wait until the second trial is over. They've got me by the nuts. If I don't agree to give evidence, it's going to look really bad, and the police won't petition the judge to give me a discount on my sentence. If I do give evidence, it means another whole year living in limbo. It's all down to me. Sometimes I feel like a performing dog. The more tricks I do, the more dog biscuits I get. Friday, the 5th of September. I think I'm going to die of some stress-related illness before I get into court. There's another delay now, so I won't be in the box until next week. It's doing my head in. I got a letter from my sister today. She said she's really proud of me for doing what I'm doing. She's proud that I'm her brother. No one has ever said that to me before. Normally, my family are really angry at being related to me because of the things I've done in the past. It's nice to know at least one person thinks I'm doing the right thing. Saturday, the 6th of September. I've been reading statements all day. Yesterday the police told me to expect to be in the dock for at least a month. I'm bloody worried about it. I can't help it. What scares me most is the fact, if there's one mistake, they could get off. Not because they didn't do it, because there is some stupid technicality. Why am I so scared? How can they be sitting in court smiling? I hear they're very confident. They think they've got a good case, but if they get off, it's a bloody travesty. People say you can't destroy the truth, but you don't get to be one of the top barristers in the country without knowing a thing or two. If they get off, I will be distressed. They won't get off. They did it. They are guilty men. If they get off, then I don't know what will happen. They will try to throw lots of doubt. I hope I can survive the onslaught of questions. I hope the truth is enough. What a situation to be in, eh? Monday, the 8th of September. First day in court. I sat there all day in the toilet, but never got to go in. I was talking to the guys on the protection squad. They say, just tell the truth. Don't worry. Take deep breaths. I must have heard that 10 times. It got to be a real pain in the arse. I feel numb. Tuesday, the 9th of September. Today was my first day. I was really nervous this morning, nearly sick. I think part of it was the drive down from Essex to the Old Bailey in the back of the armoured Range Rover. It was like being in a boat in the middle of a storm. Then after that, I had to be in the court all day. I started giving my evidence. I just kept looking straight forward. I got brave at one point and had a quick glance to my side, but Mick and Jack were both engrossed in reading. They didn't notice me. It's all pretty good at the moment. I'm just standing there, telling my story. Thursday, the 11th of September. I started being cross-examined today. The bloke is very good. Very good. He made me think that I'm a liar. He made me think that they were innocent and that I made the whole thing up. He's making me look like a complete idiot out there, and I'm not getting a chance to say why I did it or how the whole thing happened. He's bloody good, but that's why he earns the money he does. You don't hire rubbish if you're fighting for your life. I feel like a kebab. I'm being grilled in the courtroom. I'm just waiting for Steele's barrister to start slicing away. I could just imagine what the press are saying about it all. They're going to pick up on all the bad stuff because it makes a better story for them. I don't think the press like me at all. I don't think anyone likes the grass. I feel like the most unpopular man in the world. It's just like that joke. This bloke, who really hates Arabs, decides to join the French Foreign Legion so that he can kill as many of them as he wants. But when he goes to the interview, They ask him why he wants to join, and he says, I hate Arabs. I really fucking hate Arabs, and I want to kill loads of them. And they say to him, that's great, you're in. And then in his first day, he gets put on guard duty. In the middle of the night, another legionnaire comes up to him and says, look over there, there's 4 Arabs hiding behind that rock. So, quick as a flash, the bloke runs over and shoots the 4 Arabs, then comes back and shoots the legionnaire who told him where they were. Later on, his boss calls him over. Well done for killing the Arabs, but why did you shoot the other legionnaire? And the geezer says, well, I hate Arabs. I really fucking hate Arabs. But I really hate people who grass even more.